Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me here on another video on my channel. If you guys are new here, my name's Shireen and I talk all things sewing and homemaking, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my sewing room tour. Now, a little disclaimer, I use this room probably 6 months of the year, mainly because it's an outbuilding without heating, so in the deep winter months I do transfer myself into the main building, and I have a little sewing station there that I can show you as well, and also to show you how I kind of transition between the two spaces without sort of duplicating on all my bits and bobs. So yeah, I thought today my sewing studio is looking pretty okay in terms of level of tidiness, and it definitely doesn't look like this all the time, but I thought I would take the opportunity to show you around. There's definitely things here that I want to change, and there's definitely some things that I popped on order and some design inspo that I've seen that I want to create. So this is kind of I suppose this is kind of a before sewing studio, and maybe at the end of the year I'll do another sort of updated version, because there are a few things I want to change, but it definitely works as it is. So let me show you around. So this is the main overview of the sewing corner. I've got my main desk here with my swivel chair, which also adjusts in height. This chair isn't the best chair in the world, but the fact that it doesn't have arms on it is really helpful. It doesn't restrict me. I've got a little ottoman over here where I kind of store some more bits and bobs. I'll show you that in a moment, but also a little bit of a seating area. Got a little cushion here. And these are just some bits that I made, because last time I was in here I filmed what I made in 2022. So if you haven't seen that video, go and check it out. So starting at my desk, I've got this ruler here, a meter ruler that I keep here in case I want to measure any fabric, but most of my cutting tasks happen in the main house on my dining table, because it's a little bit bigger and there's more room to kind of walk around the whole space. I've got my temporary lamp here and just this little container, which actually is supposed to be for cotton buds, but I kind of keep some extra silk pins in that one. I use this lovely pretty little teacup that I thrifted as sort of a mini bin, just so I'm not throwing threads all over the floor, but it's a really decent sort of table. I bought this thrifted second hand. As you can see, there's some wear and tear, but there's something that I really like about that, since obviously there's a lot of mess that's going to be made and a lot of damage that's going to be made, and it's already been made, so but there's something I quite like about it being quite rustic and not having to be too careful with not damaging it and that sort of thing. So now these handles, I've ordered some new brass handles to go because I think these are a bit boring, but let's have a look inside. So this top drawer is mainly all my sewing stuff. I have some washi tape here as well, just for storage. Here I have things like little clasps, beads, rivets and that sort of thing. Plenty of space left to fill in here. Here I have some random little gadgets that I probably don't use very often. Here I have some of my sewing clips and needles, things like that. I have some extra bobbins and some water soluble tape, some spare rotary cutters, blades, an extra tape measure, some hand sewing needles. I also got this, which is kind of to count how many rows and things you do on knitting, because I'm terrible at keeping up with that, so that's really handy. My little thimble, and I got some rickrack here and some trim, some jute. These are just some normal scissors, and yeah, that's the top drawer. Now going into the next drawer, this is a little bit more chaotic, but essentially it makes sense to me. So we've got some bias binding that I've thrifted down the back, some Velcro. Here I've got some elastic, Velcro, hemming web, all that fun jazz. Got some boning here. Here I've got some ribbing that I've actually cut off old sports bras that I think could come in really handy one day, so I've kept those. Again, some spare elastic, some ribbon, just that sort of stuff. Lots of zips. There's some buttons here. Some bra extenders. Don't know what I might use that for, but you never know. We've got some eyelets. And yeah, kind of everything you need drawer. And then this next drawer is kind of just an overfill drawer, really. Things where there's not space to put them anywhere else. Things like extra curtain bits that I can reuse. And in here, I have some of my denim button things. I never know what these are called. So yeah, here I kind of keep the bigger pieces, things like all the same buttons and things like that if there's more than one. So this I think I got from the pound shop, which is really, really handy. I use it for lots of different things. glue gun because I use my glue gun a lot. Things like paper clips so that I can organise my fabric, which I'll show you how I do that in a minute. And then the bottom drawer is all just kind of filming stuff really, so really quite boring. We're moving over to this corner. I've got things like wrapping paper, paper to do pattern drafting, interfacing, some blinds that I got really cheap that I think I'm going to use for a project. So all the kind of long things really. Then here I've got two large paper bags. One is full of sort of fabric scraps that I'm collecting to use stuffing, and here I've got lots of wadding, which I'm not sure why I have so much. I think I double ordered and didn't realise. And then we come over to this space here, which if you're around right at the beginning of this channel, you would have seen that I upholstered this from a really old Ottoman, and it's actually super comfortable. I've kind of upholstered it using this really soft, it is a polyester, but it feels kind of velvety. And I've got this lovely blue cushion to go with. Now in here is probably not very tidy, but here I have a combination of chiffon fabrics here, some extra fabrics, and on the left is just a pile of old stuff that's a bit too old to give charity, but has sort of features that are really helpful. Either the pattern's nice, or there's fixtures or things that I can reuse, stuff like that. So that's something I'm definitely going to be tackling in the near future to give a bit more space in this room. Now, because I was filming earlier, this is my reel of all my me makes. If you haven't seen that video, go and check it out. I've also got my Manneqine here, which sometimes lives in the house, sometimes comes here, depends what I need it for. I'll move her out the way for the moment. Now this is kind of a display area slash storage area. The bottom's quite messy, but essentially I keep here my Fascinator that I made for the Royal Ascot with the matching handbag, which has fallen. Let's prop you back up. So I really love these. I'm so happy with how they turned out, and definitely will keep them to wear to any future horse racing events. I have some yarn here. So this is a Marks and Spencer's biscuit box, which I find really useful to have. Here I've got all sort of painting things here. I have another basket of yarn here. I have this set of embroidery hoops that I apparently got for £4, which was a steal. I got those from the charity shop. This was also from the charity shop, and I think it looks so cute, but essentially what I use it for is to store all my trimmings. So we have all sorts of cotton pieces, some of them thrifted, some of them new. These ones I got from Dunelm recently, if you've seen that haul. Let's have a look underneath. We've got some lace and some more lace. Yeah, I think I need to get another box like this little suitcase thing, because I'm definitely running out of space there. I've also framed this sewing pattern because I just love the print. The sewing pattern's still in it, but yeah, really love that. This is just temporarily here because I've got some cushions that I want to put together. And I think it's worth me showing you my fabric storage situation. Oh, and by the way, I don't think I mentioned this top is one that I made. It's made using the Just Dang tutorial, but it's a lovely shirred puff sleeve dress, which I have been loving this year. Now, I have been storing my fabric in these big tubs, and the reason I've been doing that is because I want to protect it. I've folded them in a way that I can see all of my fabrics from the outside without having to delve in. And same for the bottom ones here. Kind of do them in colour order. You might be able to see actually, but can you see here there's a piece of paper with a paper clip? Essentially, before I pop my fabrics in here, I write down the type of fabrics and the material that it is, but also the diameters, so that if I am rummaging to have a look at what might be suiting my project, I can see straight away without having to get the ruler out. Now this box is full of the smaller pieces, so I've got the selection of felt fabrics here, and the rest of my fat quarters all kind of colour ordered. And there's some Easter bits here ready for Easter time, and yeah, they're all kind of colour coded really. There's some extra Fascinator material here. But yeah, this is everything I have really in terms of small pieces. I would like to think that I'm quite minimal in regards to fabric. For my bigger pieces I don't think I am that minimal, but I do try. My fat quarters I do try and keep them at that level, just so that I only buy things when I've actually used something. So a one in and one out sort of situation. But yeah, that's pretty much everything in this room. I'm going to take you now to the main house and kind of show you my setup over there. As you can see, my sewing machine's not here. That's in the main house because that's where I'm sewing at the moment. But yeah, let's take you over there. So this is the current setup we've got in the main house. This is the dining table, which is where I do most of my cutting tasks because it's nice and big and you can walk all the way around. This is my sewing station. So let me bring you a bit closer. So this is my little sewing corner. I thrifted this cabinet, which is very mahogany and very, like, I want to say 60s, could be really wrong, 70s. This is actually a hi-fi unit, so this actually lifts up. There used to be a CD rack in there and all that fun jazz, but I completely ripped it out and created nice shelving and things in there, so I'll show you that in a moment. Here I've just got some little trinkety bits. This is a lovely watercolour painting that I found from the charity shop. J. Buttress 1990 it says, that's really lovely. I want to find a frame for this though, but it's just a very particular size. I'm not finding it at the moment. This is a watercolour that I've painted. I had a little go at watercolours, which was quite fun. I'll stick to sewing though, I think. Here, I don't know what's in here. Oh, I should probably sort this out. Yes, so I need to sort these out because there's some weights in here that I was going to use to make fabric weights. And also this that I found from an antique shop. And I found these antique threads. How beautiful are they? And they were just in these really beautiful colours. And I thought I would just pick them up because they looked really, really pretty. So yeah, I need to find a home for those actually. So essentially this is the throw in random sewing things pile. And here we've just got an antique lock that needs winding that I haven't wound. These are just some stacking books just to kind of style. This is real wheat because I love real sort of decor. This does lift up, but I'm not going to take everything off. I'm going to show you inside. So in here, there actually is a faux drawer. So it's one big drawer here, another big drawer here. Now at the top you can see here I've got my printer where I print out all my PDFs. It's not very tidy at the moment, I'm going to admit that, but it's because I'm using it a lot at the moment. This is some of my camera equipment that I'm using a little bit more often, things like my microphone, stuff like that. Here I've got my main sewing essentials in this lovely little thrifted basket. I've got my pins in this really cute tin, my fabric scissors, which to be honest I could create a little hook here, couldn't I? I should do that. Some measuring tape, my box of bobbins. I've got my clips in here, another tape measure, a water-soluble pen, a little magnetic case just to keep my main sort of machine, screw and needle that I'm using, etc. Thread there, which is random, a mini sewing thread here, and my rotary cutter. So this is just kind of a have everything easy to access tray. And I've also got all my paper here for printing out my patterns. And this is a book that I thrifted. You would have seen that on one of my thrift videos where I wanted to start making a scrapbook for all my sewing makes, which I haven't started on yet, but I look forward to doing that soon. Let's bring you even lower. So at the bottom here you can see my sewing machine is nicely tucked away there. I've got some fabrics here that I'm currently using, with the sewing pattern that I'm currently using. And in this little tub I've got all my big overlocking threads, which I don't have an overlocker, but I tend to use these giant ones on my sewing machine. I've got some continuous zipping, which has been life-changing and game-changing for me because I really don't think I'm ever going to be buying individual zips ever again. There's some elastic in here, which I think should go into my main sewing room, to be honest, and some binding, and some black shirring elastic and white shirring elastic, and the rest is all colourful big threads, which is essentially what this was originally for and ended up turning into a dumping ground. So obviously when my collection increases, this probably isn't going to be the best solution, but for now it works and there's still a little bit of space for a few more. And this is the bit which has really been helpful in transitioning between my two spaces, and it's been this gorgeous sewing box, which As you can see, it's quite full. But this is what I essentially use to carry between here. So I carry my sewing machine and this between these two places, depending obviously if I just want to do a spot of sewing and not spend the whole day doing it. I might do it at the dining table. If I want to spend a whole day doing it, then I'll put the little heater on in the other room and sew over there. So yeah, this is really handy. It's got everything in here. Let me show you. So obviously the top here can be used as a pincushion itself. I think this is really gorgeous. I actually thrifted this from the charity shop for like £7, I think, and it was brand new. So top sections here, I have all my feet in this one. So I've got like my walking foot, my zipper foot, and all that jazz in there. But here I have all my extra needles. I've got some twin needles here. I've got some universal stretch, ballpoint. Here I've got things like screwdrivers, loop turners, like that, tape and safety pin. I've got some clips here. This one here I have more of my smaller scissors, a thread trimmer, my awl, my tracing wheel, an extra tape measure, different coloured tailor's chalk. I've got some silk pins here, measuring tape. And then if we go into the next layer here I've got all my smaller threads and some of my smaller travel kits. And on this side I have some labels, like handmade labels, handmade with love, made by me, designed by me. I should use these a bit more, to be honest. I always forget to use them. And then I've got some extra pins, some water soluble tape, yada yada yada. And then down here I haven't actually used these yet at all. I probably should just experiment a bit with them. But they're bias tape making set. You've got loads of different sizes there. Got my extra long loop turner here, my pinking shears. And yeah, that's kind of all the main bits really. I don't really like to duplicate on anything. I don't like having extras. Things like pins, if they're not good, I chuck them. And yeah, I just want to keep everything nice and streamlined. There's nothing extra. I haven't got duplicates in here and in the other room. So yeah, this just comes with me wherever I am, essentially. And that's that. So guys, I really hope you found that insightful. There's definitely some bits that I'm going to be changing up. I do want to make my working studio a little bit more permanent, but this situation works for me at the moment, so that's fine. But yeah, I thought I would kind of take you along. I've never really shown you fully. I think there was a video where I showed you my studio when we first moved into this house, but I don't think I showed you the finished product in the end. But now that I've kind of lived in the space here and in the other room, I think I've got everything down to a nice T. So, hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!